Good morning, and welcome to Amir Shakur Speaks Morning Show. Well, back at it again, y'all. Back at it again. And hey, listen, we appreciate you guys being active listeners to where we're at. And remember, we're here 8 to 9. So today, we're gonna get right into it without further delay. And if you're new to the program, this is the morning show from the heart of the city, live in the ABS Chicago studios, 1B. And it's the morning on Monday, March 24th. And we're defining what it means to lead in your community, right? And refining what it means to lead in your community. We're defining and refining, right? So today we're looking at the headlines that you might have missed and while you were asleep last night. So let's go. All right. So just remember the morning show, 8 to 9 a.m. every morning, Monday through Friday. All right. All right. So tonight we're taking a look at the global gas prices. It's been a mess to say the least, and I'm normally an optimistic person, but we gotta drill into this. So if you filled up your gas tank within the last 48 hours, you likely felt a sharp sting at the pump. Gasoline prices across the country are surging at a rate that we haven't seen in years, with a national average now climbing toward the $4 to $5 mark in even smaller regions. So this morning we're looking at the driving spike and how much more pain the American drivers can expect. How long will this thing go on? You know, how long will you guys have to peel off, or will we have to peel off, I should say? You know, when it's time to hit that gas tank, gas signs, people pumping gas, we got to go back to the origin story, which is right here, the attacks on the Strait of Hormuz, and the numbers tell us a telling story. I was going to say a start, but I would rather say telling story. According to AAA, I would say the national average for gas regularly hit $3.94. I'm glad it's not $9 as of Sunday, and that jump is a jump of more than $1 in just a month, 0.45%. In states like California, drivers are already seeing the average near $5.76, and gas prices, even across one station in LA, hits $8. Let's see. Wow. 8. I can't do it. In states, and we're in for a struggle. The primary catalyst is what? Again, let's go back to it. The geopolitical struggle in the U.S. and Israel is effectively choked off the Strait of Hormuz, right? The attack on the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 1/3 of the world's oil passes through this narrow waterway. 1/3, right? So remember this. This is why we're having one of the reasons why we're having a current struggle. And with that, tankers are unable. If it's closed, tankers are unable to sail safely. The global supply is taking a massive hit, right? And this strait is it's been problematic for quite a many times in the past decade in our nation, for ongoing struggles and conflicts with Iran, and it has effectively been choked off again as we speak. Again, roughly 1/3 or 1/5. 1/5. Let me get the numbers right for somebody calls me out. 1/5 of the world's oil passes through the narrow waterway in the Strait of Hormuz, which is basically on the coast of Iran. I'm gonna highlight that for you guys so you can look at it and be able to drill it down and say what it is, right? Roughly 1/5 of the world's oil passes through this narrow waterway, Strait of Hormuz. All right, so here we go. And with that in mind, what's the primary catalyst? Geopolitical history. What else is going on here? What else is going on here is the conflict between the U.S., Israel, and Iran, and it's effectively choked off the strait. So if it isn't just your daily commute, it's getting more expensive. But I mean, diesel prices have surged even faster. So what does that mean? That means the cost of goods is going up and it's hitting a national average. And experts warn this will likely ripple through the entire economy, raising the cost of shipping from groceries to electronics. Because I mean, the trucks got to get there, and the shipping, if that price goes up with diesel, then the price of your goods has to go up because they have to go somewhere to get the lack of funds or the balance, right? Balance it off, right? So, with an ROI, if there is no ROI, I mean, it's going to come from somewhere. So who does it come from? It comes from the American consumer. Well, Trump recently announced that temporary delay in strikes against Iranian infrastructure will allow for talks. He's saying that there'll be talks, but the Strait of Hormuz is definitely an area where there's a lot of concern, and it's one of the problems that the Trump administration is having to deal with, and unfortunately, the American public has taken on this. So let me highlight and go to let's go to a small screen that would really give us a little bit more emphasis from CNN about the Strait of Hormuz and what it is. So let's add it, and bear with me 1 second while our team pulls that up.
We're talking about energy plants, power plants, desalination plants, things that work for civilian infrastructure could be targeted if Iran's biggest power plant is targeted, if the Strait of Hormuz is not reopened for free and fair navigation in that 48-hour time period. So it was interesting to hear Mike Waltz, the United States' ambassador to the United Nations, try to talk about what specific targets could be in play, in the picture, if this 48-hour deadline is not met. And of course, he was asked, what is this biggest power plant that would be hit if this 48-hour time frame comes and goes? And he declined to speak to that exact power plant when he was interviewed by Margaret Brennan on CBS News' Face the Nation. So really what the newest development is, we're talking about if this deadline passes, what targets are in the picture here, and then how that potentially leads to some sort of escalation. And then also, Polo, we have international rights groups like Amnesty saying that if energy infrastructure, water, heating targets are in play here, that could potentially, and choosing our words very carefully here, potentially lead to war crimes because of the, quote, potential for vast, predictable, and devastating civilian harm. And you do have to think, and analysts who we're speaking to as part of our CNN reporting are saying that if power plants are targeted in Iran and the lights go dark and the civilian populace is harmed, what does that do for the Iranian civilians who are glad that the United States is trying to change this regime? Does this, if the Iranian populace is in the dark for a prolonged period of time, perhaps turn sentiment against the United States among people who are glad that this attempt at regime change had been launched now up to 4 weeks ago? So that is what we're watching. No new real reporting on this impressionistic, vague coalition on nations that are trying to reopen the Strait of Hormuz when the time is right. But we were talking about Japan yesterday, the last time that you and I spoke, and their foreign minister was saying that minesweepers could be added into the equation. But upon reviewing his comments that he gave to a Japanese TV show, it was very conditional. It was a very hypothetical statement. He said pretty much to the extent of, hypothetically speaking, if there were a ceasefire, Japanese assets could be used to help clear mines if mines are a problem in the Strait of Hormuz. So what we're trying to get at there is that it's still a very vague, unclear assembly of nations in terms of who's going to do what when the time is right to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
That is, the Strait of Hormuz is currently a global waterway for the country in the world, and many other nations around the world are dependent upon this particular strait. Let me pull up the visual of it again. And it's the center of a major international energy and security crisis. And the waterway remains effectively closed to commercial traffic following this Iran conflict. And the current status is the effective closure of the strait has been largely impassable for commercial ships since February of 2026, following joint operations with Israel and the U.S. military, complements of the Trump administration, and against Iran. Recent ultimatum. So, and maybe I wasn't clear, but we definitely need to be clear. President Donald Trump issued a 48-hour deadline for Iran to reopen the waterway, though he has since signaled a potential postponement of that deadline. And it's been postponed at least twice now amid the negotiations and the threats and so on and so forth. But there has been an international response. A coalition of over 20 countries led by the UK, supported by NATO, is working on an effort to reopen the strait. And the impact on shipping has been major. Again, the cost for commercial shipping around the world, including just locally in the United States, it's going to go up tremendously. And if this conflict is not resolved, we could be looking at maybe triple or double increases by late spring. While most commercial traffic has been halted, some ships, primarily for China and India, have reportedly passed through with Iranian permission, and sometimes paying significant fees to use the channel. What they're doing, or trade agreements, we don't have access to know, but the economic struggle is of importance. The strait, again, is the world's most critical choke point for oil in the global oil supply, and it typically carries roughly about 20%, according to statistics of the world's oil, approximately 20 statistics, and that's roughly, according to observers and statistics, 20 to 21 million barrels a day. 20% of the global liquefied natural gas, mainly from Qatar alone. So we are seeing a price surge, right? We're going to see that price surge, and it's going to continue going roughly through late spring. And due to the closure, the crude oil soared surpassingly up to $126 a barrel at their peak, which right now has been March. We've never seen oil increases in decades like we've seen. Key export nations, and I think it's primary to say that, there are primary other areas where we can get oil from, like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Kuwait. There's other areas, but geographically, the Persian Gulf, which is what the strait connects to, and the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea, separating Iran from the north, and Oman from the, I believe, from the north, and UAE from the south. So let's look at that. The dimensions of the strait are approximately 21 miles, and at its narrowest, so 21 miles for shipping lanes and vessels that traffic and travel through separations. It's not a wide range, and the tightest part consisting of a 2 mile separation of inbound and outbound lanes. So basically, that's shared with this 2 mile buffer zone. The conflict in Iran and Venezuela reports have surfaced that, also major members of the high ranking Trump administration and international coalitions are questioning the legality of the deployment of orders for specific operations, such as the lethal boat strikes in the Caribbean, and they are leading to lack of support internationally from NATO countries, and they are saying, hey, we'll stand down because we don't see the agenda, and there is an international back and forth going on right now. And what the opposition to the American and the Israel operation that's going on is saying is that they suspect lack of statutory authority or constitutional authorization, saying that international laws have been shifted or even broken. Ethical guidelines have been diminished when it comes to these recent efforts by the Trump administration. And the Trump administration has taken a hardline stance on it. And what they're saying is the roadblocks are just temporary, and their agenda for warfare and lawfare are ethically sound, is what they're saying. So the risk for American citizens, service members around the world, and diplomats in foreign countries is rising. Our country is on a national alert, and has been on a national alert since this war in Iran began. So if you're just joining, we're talking mainly about the gas prices and how infrastructure when it comes to gas is climbing. So if you filled up your tank within the last 48 hours, you're likely to feel a sharp sting at the pump. Gas prices across the country are surging at a rate we haven't seen in years. And with the national average now climbing toward the $4 mark, today, as of Monday, March 24th, we're looking at what's driving the spike. And, people pumping gas across the country should not be shocked, but I guess, the impact and the numbers tell a sharp story. Again, one nation in one city in our nation, I should say, instead of going to other nations, but one city outside of Los Angeles, one region, they're looking at an $8 increase. $8. Imagine that. And drivers are already seeing the average. I was surprised when I filled up my tank, and normally a $24 tank cost me $36 to fill. So what does that tell you? There has to be a give, and we're hoping that the Trump administration will be able to strategically get this part of the calamity and the chaos together. Strait of Hormuz. So let's look at a little bit more of the explanation to what's going on, and just want to really be able to break this thing down for those who are able to really clarify and why they're having to pitch their pocket to the higher degree. So if you're just joining us, just stay tuned, and we're just going to go ahead and add that to the stage. So this is recent reporting from CNN, and it's breaking down the conflict with the Strait of Hormuz. And if you are just joining, again, we're talking about rising gas prices.
And it's Mike Valerio. Really appreciate that report. And certainly, yes, targeting those civilian infrastructure certainly brings a whole host of new questions. For more now on how Asia is currently reacting to this widening conflict in the Middle East, let's take a quick look at some of the markets right now. Yeah, it's Sunday evening, at least here in the United States. But let's actually go overseas and bring up some of those numbers right now, see the early indicators right now. That do show markets across the board taking a tumble there. Investors certainly weighing this conflict that has escalated significantly over the weekend, as Mike just laid out here, with that increased threat coming from the White House directed at Iran, threatening to target some of the power infrastructure there. And meanwhile, Iran's threat to close the Strait of Hormuz indefinitely, it has not helped oil prices come down. I mean, just look at that, continues to climb. Currently, Brent crude futures listed at $112 a barrel. And again, those numbers on the rise. For more, I do want to bring in now Sam Mundy. He's a retired Lieutenant General of the United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant General, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Pleasure to be here, Polo.
Wonder if you see Iran's regime as degraded but not defeated, and if so, what are their current weapons and military capabilities after weeks of war with the U.S. and Israel?
That is just based on what we hear coming out of Admiral Cooper and General Kane and their frequent press briefings, but also you can see it in Iran's ability to fire missiles and drones. We've seen a steady decrease in those, and actually I follow that pretty closely. And the reports today show that tapering off even more. So degraded is, it's a subjective term, and the extent of the degradation, of course, is something that Admiral Cooper is looking at very closely, and along with his intelligence analysts. But very clearly here, we've, while I think we were achieving the military objectives, obviously those that have been stated, the conditions aren't quite set for, the president to declare a state where we can move forward here. And so the obvious elephant in the room on that is the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. And so that battle of the Strait of Hormuz, I think, has probably been joined already, judging from the attacks and the strikes over the last week or so, that the U.S. Central Command is committed to start rolling back these Iranian forces that are controlling the strait in an effort, perhaps a longer-term effort here to open it up.
General, Iran, since that warning was issued from the White House this weekend, Iran has shown really no sign that it plans to comply. If anything, it's actually doubled down and increasing its threats against the United States. Should the U.S., Israel, other allies, should there be concerns about a possible preemptive strike from Iran, given that they are still quite angry and very armed?
Well, I think Iran has shown that it's willing to, go to great lengths. It's attacked its neighbors, to include countries that don't really have anything to do with this, Turkey and Azerbaijan, as you well know. And they fired a missile, apparently attempting to hit Diego Garcia. At least that was reported over the last 24 hours. So it's quite possible that they wouldn't stop at anything at this point, principally because their number one goal is survival. And when it comes to regime survival, this is an existential threat that they face, and whereas our objective may be somewhat more limited, to them, this is, as I heard Secretary Mattis talk about this just in the last couple of days, this is a total war situation for them.
General, I'm also interested in getting some of your thoughts as a former CENTCOM commander. What's your assessment of these additional U.S. troops that have been heading to the region, and what do you expect their role to be, with the caveat that there is still so much uncertainty about the next 24 hours?
Yeah, just one correction. I was the Marine Forces Central Command commander. I know it is a difference, but so yeah, I was in charge of all Marines, and I think that's probably what you're referring to. Look, the arrival of the Marine Expeditionary Unit, or MEU, comes at a moment, as I tried to say earlier here, where perhaps there's an opportunity to change the equation, and these forces could potentially be part of changing that equation. going forward here.
Let's talk a little bit more about it. So if you're just joining, we're really talking primarily about the rising gas prices across the country and some of the volatility and why things are the way that they are. And as the CNN piece roughly said, it was, as of March 23rd, I should say, the conflict in the Strait of Hormuz has entered into a critical level of it's a high stakes game of brief diplomatic pause or lack of thereof, and so the Trump administration's brainchild in the Middle East has caused a lot of back and forth, and Trump postpones the strike, saying that there would be an unannounced strike today, postponing it with a 48-hour deadline. We're discussing the military conflict, I should be more clear. And he previously said for Iran to reopen the strait, but if he didn't, he threatened a strike. The original threat warned on Saturday that the U.S. would obliterate, should I say, Iran's power plants, starting with the largest, if the waterway was not fully reopened by Monday night. And now there's a 5-day extension, possibly citing productive conversations and negotiations with the Iran administration, and it's delayed any airstrikes. So Iran has escalated the threats, and largely gone ignored. Despite the U.S. pause, Tehran has maintained a defiant stance. Okay. So the total closure warning, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards have warned that if the power grid is targeted, it will permanently close the strait and will not reopen it until all destroyed plants are rebuilt, mining the Gulf. Okay, so they're saying that if America or Israeli forces or a combination of the two strike any Iranian power structure, power grid, anything that's on their power production, any power facilities, that they're going to permanently close the strait down, which means that the gas prices around the world will go up, probably triple. And it would be likely that we would see $7-8 gallon gas before it's all over with. And, that is traumatic for most. Regional targets. Let's talk a little bit about that. And going back to the Iranian officials warned that if they are attacked again, they will irreversibly destroy energy and the water distillation facilities in neighboring Gulf countries as well. So, they're going to destroy the power and economic facilities around the world. So, the military developments are aside of what's going on with the strait itself and closing out the strait, but the power plant strike is on hold according to the Trump administration, and the U.S. and Israeli military said that there will be a wide-scale wave of strikes in infrastructure in Tehran as of this morning. So the U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, reported that the recent strikes have degraded Iran's ability to target ships through commercial traffic. Is still going and ongoing, but it's, according to the American forces and Israeli forces, is at a standstill. So again, what does that mean to you? Market vitality. The market is going to change overnight, and has changed overnight, with crude oil prices surging to $113, and it's not appearing to go down following the weekend threats, but shows small signs of stabilizing, going back, dropping towards $100 after the news of decline extension. So, the global concern here is that the International Energy Agency has warned and we agree, many observers on the ground, that the ongoing crisis is a threat to the global economy, including right here at home. Comparing the impact of oil stocks to what we've seen, we haven't seen this since the 1970s, roughly 40, 50 years ago would be the last time that we've seen anything close to this. So if you're just joining, or if you do watch the broadcast and repeat, Iran is trading the closest Strait of Hormuz, and as a result of the closures, we're seeing the global energy and gas prices, including gas prices, go up tremendously. And they say that they'll close it completely if Trump attacks the power plants, which is something that has been discussed by the officials from the Israel and Trump military joint operation. We don't know where this thing is going to end. We don't know where it's standing, but we will keep an eye out for Trump's 48-hour deadline and dozens, the more importantly, the human rights issues, which we'll be talking about in the days ahead. Dozens of people have been killed, hundreds have been injured. In today's delay striking the power plants for 5 days, citing productive talks since yesterday, is according to most on the ground. I believe that temporarily there's a relief, but as it connects to the Persian Gulf and Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, we definitely know that this is a breaking story. So with that in mind, I do want to say that, there are risks involved, and there are a lot of issues with this news cycle and what's going on around the world and the country with oil. We got to be able to look at this for what it is. And a lot of American citizens say it's nothing but propaganda. So the global concerns are there. And if we were to write this story and how it ends, because it's been so unpredictable and it's changing every day, we couldn't even imagine a conclusion unless the Israeli and American forces decide to stand down. And if they were to decide to stand down, then I think that might be the best thing ever. So the conflict over the Strait of Hormuz remains at a precarious standstill since yesterday, March 23rd, 2026. And while the immediate threat of U.S. strikes on their Iranian power plants have been paused for 5 days, as we say, this standoff has created a historic disruption in energy markets, with oil prices hovering around $113 a barrel. So ultimately, the resolution of this crisis depends on whether the Trump and the Israeli forces will stand down. The Israeli-led mediation can bridge the gap between, the Omani is actually the mediation group, and they want to bridge the gap between the Trump administration's demands and where Tehran is standing. So if there is a security guarantee in any way, any shape or form, right now it's being put off. And until then, the world remains on edge, facing what many observers describe as the largest energy supply disruption in history, compliments of the Trump administration. So if you want to track the specific impact on fuel prices in your region, you can go ahead and go to AAA. I think that's a great way to go. In Google AAA, and I think that they have the most up-to-date information that I've seen. Either way, you'll see the prices change, fuel prices in your region change on a daily basis. So that's where we're at, folks. And I want to thank you for joining the Amir Shakur Speaks morning show. And join us, by the way, for this evening at 8:30 p.m. for part 2 of Will AI Take Over the World? And we're doing a comprehensive report on AI. So that's what it is. But I want to thank you guys and continue to remember remember, stay visual and do what you do, and keep your voice strong. Your voice matters. I'm out of here. That's my time. Peace.